Welcome back to another edition of the Poultry Network Podcast. My name's Tom Willings.
And I am Tom Woolman.
Tom, good evening. This is a rare event. We can, if anyone's got the video feed, this doesn't really work on straight audio, but we're sat surrounded by darkness, recording as we are approaching 9 o'clock at night, feeling the imperative to talk about the progression of avian flu. It's in mainstream media. Professor Ian Brown on the BBC today. Things are gathering pace and not in a good way.
Yeah, no, I saw that BBC article. So Ian Brown, the headline is "Bird flu virus spreading in UK could be worst yet. Expert warns farmers." So Ian Brown has come out saying that he thinks this year could be the worst that we've seen, which is obviously pretty shocking news for people because we've been through some pretty horrendous years over the past 5 years when it comes to bird flu. And really, I suppose we wanted to address a bit of the elephant in the room, didn't we, Tom? Which is, it seems like England's got its act together and put a mandatory housing order across the whole of the country. But at the moment, and we have made some inquiries, it doesn't appear that the Welsh government is showing any signs of following suit at the moment.
Yeah, that is the understanding, which is extraordinary. I think when we commented on the first iteration of the English housing order, we were surprised that they kind of drew the line midway across the country, and I suppose everybody south of that line will be relieved in England, relieved that common sense has prevailed. But with now a succession of cases in West Wales, over in Pembrokeshire, following the one that was slightly further north in Corwin. Apologies to anybody in Wales listening, and again, my dreadful pronunciation, murdering the local names. But four cases in Wales already, and you've got to think, what on earth are Welsh government doing? Come on, what are you waiting for? I naively sit here thinking, as an English person, that when I think of all of the devolves, I rather think that agriculture and Wales, the Welsh government would be the devolved government, the administration that were the most supportive of the agricultural sector, and silence, let alone inaction, is again. My heart goes out to the Welsh farmers. You and I will know a lot of people with skin in the game, a lot of farmers in Wales, and there's an awful lot of free range egg producers in Wales, of course, who will be climbing the walls in frustration, I've no doubt.
No, it's just bizarre, isn't it, really? Because you think, well, if you are in government in Wales, what is your plan, really? Because I think even at the moment, as I said, we haven't really seen any sort of plan, and they must have one. Surely they must have one. They must have metrics by which they're saying, right, when we get to this metric, this is the point that we will implement a housing order. And I really wonder if Ian Brown is coming out saying what he is. I think I'm just going to read some more of the article that he has because it's just very succinct. About what he says. He added that the threat level meant that the poultry industry needed to batten down the hatches, review their biosecurity, and redouble their efforts. I guess redoubling your efforts could certainly include putting your birds indoors. That's one thing that you can do tomorrow, which will improve your biosecurity. And I think it also puts farmers in a very difficult position because they're concerned with the welfare of their flocks. They're concerned with the financial viability of their farms. And if they are being forced to put birds outside, they know what the risks are. And actually the risk is on their shoulders, really. We all know how difficult it is in terms of getting bird flu insurance. And actually, even if you have got insurance, actually you have to look at the agreement quite hard to actually work out what it will cover and what it won't cover. So, yes, I just hope that the Welsh government get their act together, really, and just get in line with England, and we can act as one, because eggs do cross our borders, and wild birds cross our borders as well.
For me, I think the thing that compounds the frustration is that you've had experts again. I'm talking about Gordon Hickman and now, a few weeks later, Ian Brown. But Gordon Hickman was at the Poultry Network live conference saying to people before it all kicked off, we think this looks like we're in for a tough time. That message has been reverberating around the trade, so undoubtedly raising the anxiety levels amongst the farming community. And hey presto, the experts were right. Their projections are turning out to be accurate. What is it? This changes so quickly. Every day there's another one or two cases announced. Today another in Pembrokeshire and one in Lancashire. And we're up to best part of 30 cases. I think it's 4 in Wales, as I said, 23 in England, one in Northern Ireland. It's running away with it. So
and the turkeys as well. This is such a critical time for turkey producers. I guarantee within the next couple of days, if things carry on at the rate they are, there will be headlines about
turkey shortages.
Turkey shortages at Christmas, and almost quite justifiably so. We've already lost a good number of turkeys in these outbreaks. I think when we last discussed this subject, we said that it hadn't really impacted broiler breeders or turkeys. Well, it definitely has now. So,
you went to Epic this week. What was the mood in the camp there? What was the chat? Who I didn't go. So
you didn't.
Maybe
no.
You put me on the spot, or rather put you on the spot. But who were the voices talking, and in terms of AI, what were they saying?
Well, so in terms of AI, everyone was very aware of the situation. Everyone's phone is going off at 9 o'clock in the evening with the latest outbreaks. Everyone really knows someone or has got some link to an outbreak already, and everyone is looking at the situation going forward and really wondering where we're going to end up come February or March. Of course, Ian Brown spoke at the conference as well. But I suppose in terms of there were plenty of positive things as well. That's what I'd say. It's certainly not all doom and gloom. Sometimes when farmers get together and agricultural people get together, it's a little bit doom and gloom. It certainly wasn't all doom and gloom at all. In fact, I think it's certainly at challenging times like this, people came together. In fact, a good example of that was the Poultry Person of the Year, was won by James Chalmers, who's a turkey producer, who's been hit with AI himself, and really has been very open about his experiences. So it was great for him to get that recognition. He's runs quite a unique business really in the UK, or has done. He's recently sold it, and also Young Poultry Person of the Year, Hannah Cargill won that, partly as recognition of what she's done in terms of promoting women in poultry, and by setting up her group and trying to encourage networking and support amongst women in poultry, which is quite amazing, really. I think when you look back to Epic and what that was, well, you must remember, Tom, you were there before I was allowed in, weren't you? When you were,
it's been a few years since I attended an Epic, I have to say.
Was the dinner though? It was all men in suits smoking cigars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Black tie, and then you had the poultry meat dinner on one side and the egg dinner on the other. The dining was taken very seriously.
So the nice change is that it's visible, and a lot of people that go to events will see this. There are an awful lot more women in the industry and participating in all sorts of levels, and that's just great because it just makes it just. Yeah, it's just a brilliant thing, and it's a nice thing that I think even I've seen in what is my relatively short tenure in the poultry industry of 15 years or so. I guess another highlight for me was Weston Davis was giving a presentation, and I really enjoyed listening to him because I've heard an awful lot about him from other people and some of the progress that he's made in a relatively short space of time. So there was a really good session on young people in the poultry industry, chaired by the brilliant Chloe Ryan. I think probably the presentation that seemed to split opinion most. They had the last presentation was by someone called dubbed a food futurologist, albeit I think she'd given herself this title as a bit of a savvy marketing tool.
It's a tongue twister. A food futurologist.
Food futurologist, yes.
Yeah.
Her name was Dr. Morgan Gay, and she talked. It was amazing. I've never seen a presentation like it. Talked for well over half an hour about. Well, we thought it was going to be about food, but actually, as much as anything else, it seemed to be about aesthetic concepts and what people will be wearing and what sort of environments they'd be surrounding themselves in. And she kept on banging on about how light, fluffy textures were going to be in, and how air was going to be the big new ingredient.
Was she smoking a funny cigarette at the time?
I mean, she could have had or like a cigarillo would have suited her. I mean, she was styled to the max. She looked like someone who had been paid to come and speak at a poultry conference. She didn't look like someone that had just turned up. But I always think if you don't come away from a conference and you feel like you've been mildly offended by one of the papers, then probably the organisers haven't done their job correctly. Well,
we're talking about it, aren't we? I mean, there we go.
Yeah, and speaking to people, some people thought it was a load of rubbish, but I tell you what, there were some other people as well who said that was the best thing that I heard, and that's what you
marketeers want. Scribbling furiously at how to get more air into eggs.
Just blow. The other thing that she mentioned, which I have heard mentioned before, and I think is a very interesting point, is about the impact of drugs like Ozempic, GLP-1 drugs, on eating habits. In fact, I think there was another presentation as well at Epic that talked about this, and the fact that these drugs are only being used by some very small percentages at the moment. I think 4% of the population at the moment, but they are growing massively. And the whole theme of the conference was poultry in 2050, and where are we going to be in 2050? What do things look like? And potentially, it was predicted that 50% of the population could be using these drugs by the time we get to 2050.
I've written articles about this actually already, and I think there will be 10 years time, there'll be charts doing the rounds, bar charts, line graphs that have got the point at which these drugs became mainstream, and we'll see those sorts of numbers. The Nielsen's, Kantars of this world are already reporting the changes in sale rates of consumption, shifting dynamics on what people are buying and what they're buying instead, as it were. As you say, only 4% as it stands, but kind of doubling year on year. This is we're at the start of a wave, I would say, on that.
Yes, it's transformed the Danish economy as well, hasn't it? I think the use of Ozempic is just.
You stop me in my tracks with your kind of international insights at times. I'm not up with my Danish consumer habits. You take us to Europe, Tom. Let's round off with another story that's broken this week, and there's more on the Poultry Network website. We've got an article that goes out in the morning, and perhaps you and I will dive deeper into this in the week or two ahead. But referring to Europe. The egg industry reporting, or DEFRA reporting, vast increase in volume of imported eggs over the summer months. August and July between them account for not far off 2/3 of the entire 2024 volume. That's wow. That's the kind of degree of increase in rate of import. You'd probably triple the going rate in the months prior. So,
and what would normally happen with egg consumption over those summer months? Because sometimes there's a seasonal impact, isn't there? Would you see more eggs or fewer eggs consumed over the summer?
So this is we're kind of shooting from the hip here in terms of trying to piece together. But you would say that the summer months would see a lull in consumption. Whether that's because people
same with chicken. Quite often you get the August blues where people are going off and doing other things.
Yeah, or again, just referring to eggs. If consumption of eggs is predicated around breakfast and cooked breakfasts, then hotter weather probably leads to different meal choices, combined with what you're talking about, a degree of an exodus. The flip of that is that imported egg wouldn't be going into retail as a fresh product. Typically, could be going into independent retail, but not the kind of supermarkets that we're most familiar with. And they could be going into, or most likely going into, processing and manufacturing. And the increase could be down to, greater availability, a slight softening in the price somewhere in Europe, and processors, UK processors, accessing European egg and deciding that now's the time to put more into storage, more into stock, because I've no doubt that the last 3 years has left eggs in store, and bearing in mind, even fresh egg, but stored for processing, is going to be refrigerated or held for a pretty long time. This is not the 28-day ruling. You could have eggs in there for months, and I would have thought over the course of the last 3 years, processors will have pretty bare boards in terms of storage. So at some point, that's got to be replaced. And of course, in the last few months, we've had news of UK processors either going into business with as kind of joint venture European businesses, or selling up to European businesses. And you wonder whether or not those deals have slightly opened the door and facilitated an increase in import. We've had a couple of pretty big producers affected by bird flu, but the dates don't quite match up for that. So it's there's more homework to be done in terms of trying to unpick exactly what's going on. But the just for context, the last time that imports spiked to anything like this was back in COVID times,
right?
And I think at their very peak, we saw 8.9 million dozen eggs imported in a month, against a kind of typical run rate of 2 or 3 million. So a threefold increase.
But that was demand, wasn't it? The demand increased, whereas this is clearly a sign that supply is just not quite keeping up. And I going back to the bird flu situation and looking at that, I worry about how the situation might develop over the next 6 months or so.
Yeah. To finish the point I was going to make is that we're talking about a rate of almost double that single highest month during the COVID time. So we've got 2 months sustained at double that level. It is is definitely worthy of another episode, as we try and find some people who can unpick or help us understand exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. But as you said, there's a bit of an article, is there, on the Poultry Network newsletter?
Yeah, that comes out in that's in tomorrow's. And then just for anyone listening who's wondering what's coming up, we've got a great interview with Aaron McKenna, head of broiler operations for Pilgrims Europe, coming up. So watch out for that, because I think that will probably go live next week. But for now, let's just go back.
Hopefully, we're not having to record too many more emergency late night episodes.
I want to go and have a glass of wine, really. But Welsh government, come on.
Yeah, come on, Welsh government. Well, who knows? Maybe if they do bring in a housing order very quickly, we'll have to record another podcast with glasses of wine in hands, saying, "Great, they've finally done it." But
celebratory.
Let's see how long it takes.
Tom, have a good evening.
All right.
Everybody else, thank you for listening, and until next time.
Goodbye.